So number 4, okay, in this mid-unit review here, we're talking about systems of linear equations, and they give you two plans, plan A and plan B. Now, if they didn't give you these, they might ask you to create a model of a situation using a system of linear equations. So they might ask you to make the equations, right, from this information. And in plan A, an initiation fee of $75 plus a user fee of $5 per visit. So every time you go to this fitness club, you spend $5, and there's a one-time initial fee of $75. Okay? So obviously that's going to cost you some money over time. There's a lot of money up front, right? But it's less money if you go more often. So plan B says you don't have to pay the upfront fee, but you have a fee of $10 for every visit. So it's a little bit more expensive every time you go, but you don't have this big upfront fee. So the question would be, right, let's try and figure out what these plans actually look like over time. It says graph this, and then it says under what conditions is plan A cheaper? So this is something you'll encounter in real life, and not just fitness club. It'll be like you're buying a stereo system for your car or something. Okay, well you can pay cash up front, or you can finance it. Well, financing sounds good. I have to pay, you mean like $25 a month, for a couple of years? That's no problem. Instead of $1,500. Oh my goodness, that's like, blow me out of the water. But you have to think carefully about that, don't you? Because there's usually hidden fees there, or interest, what would be called. So we have to examine this. So they give us, nice of them, isn't it? They give us these equations. So what we're going to do is we're going to let one of these equal y, and guess what? The f here, okay, which is the total fee, let's let that equal y, and let's let the number of visits equal x. Because that makes sense, doesn't it? The number of visits should determine how much money you pay. So x would be, or the visits would be independent variable. The fee, or the y, would be the dependent variable. Okay? So that makes sense. So we're going to graph these two equations. So take a moment on your graphing calculator right now to graph those two. Let's see what they look like. All right, so when you graph these two lines under a standard window, zoom 6, standard window, the problem is we're only going to see one of the two lines. Well, take a look at this one. You see this? What form is this one in? What form is this in? Or close to being what form, right? That they're rearranged a bit, but it's what? Slope, intercept. Very good. Yes, slope, intercept. This is the slope. This is the intercept. So when we're looking at our graph, I only go up to 10, right? The intercept is 75 for one of these. So guess what? I'm going to have to change my window. So go into window here. And this is all of the individual settings for the x-axis and the y-axis, okay? So you can change anything. I want the y, so the y maximum here. You see that? Just cursor down to y maximum. I need to make that more than 75. Let's just make that like 80 or something. See that? So we may have to change some other things, but let's start there. Okay, so you see how it extended this y quite a bit? All right, so now let's see. Okay, so we've got a line going like this and a line going like this now. So they look like they're going to intercept somewhere way up here, right? Way up above. So what we need to do is we need to extend our y maximum quite a bit more and our x maximum quite a bit more. So let's go and do that. X maximum. Well, it's 10 right now. It looks like we're going to need to go to 20, 30, 40, I don't know. Let's say 40, just to make sure we can see that intersection point. That might be way too much, but let's just give it a guess. The y max now, we're going to have to go quite a bit higher than even 80. So let's go to like 200, I don't know. Let's check it out. Because remember, this is the amount of money that you spend. So over time, you're going to be spending hundreds of bucks, right? Oh, good. Look at this. We have an intersection point. Okay. So what we need to remember with this question, guys, is that, so let's see. I just hit the trace button, see, so I can get the cursor on there. Now this is the one equation here, okay? So this line represents how much money you would pay over time, right? Okay? So remember, this was the one that only had $5 per visit, but we started up here at $75. So you pay $75, but then every visit is only $5. So look at how the amount that you owe changes over time. Versus this one, there's no upfront fee, right? But you pay $10 every time, so it costs you a little bit more, a little bit quicker. So what do you suppose the intersection point would mean in this situation? What does that intersection point mean? There's two parts to every point, right? The x value would be the what? The number of visits, and the y value is the total amount of money, the fees that you have to pay. So the intersection point, it looks like this. What does that point represent? Could someone tell me? Very good. The number of visits that you'll pay the exact same for both plans. Okay, that's what that means. It's the amount of visits that you will pay the exact same amount of money. Okay, so let's take a look at it. So at 15 visits, okay, it doesn't matter which plan that you took. 15 visits, you owe exactly $150. Does that make sense? That's the same for both plans. Now, let's say you are a super duper in shape person and you love going to the gym all the time. And you know that you're going to go more than 15 times. Let's say this is a month. I don't know if it said. But let's say you're going to go more than one every other day. You're going to go every day. So check it out. Which plan are you going to choose if you go more than 15 times? You're going to choose this plan that has the lower rate per day. Does that make sense? And if you're like, well, you know what, I only go one every 3 or 4 days or once a week, or I don't know, it depends, like I don't go very often. So you're only going to go maybe 5 times or 8 times. Well, guess what? You're going to want to go with this plan over here, the one that doesn't have the big upfront fee. You see that? It's going to be more every time you go, but you're not actually going that often. So does that make sense? So this question actually says, under what conditions is Plan A cheaper? So Plan A is this $75 upfront fee. So under what conditions is it cheaper? If you visit the fitness club more than 15 times, then Plan A is a better deal. Does that make sense? Any questions about that? Do you understand that? I'm trying to gauge your faces here. You're all kind of looking like this. I don't know what that means. That means, this is so easy, I wish you'd move on. I get this. Or, I'm thinking about sleeping right now. I just want to be in my bed. I'm not sure. What does that look mean? Oh, now we're smiling. Okay. All right. That's good. So any questions about that, guys? Because that's like a question. That's a little bit of everything in that question. That's a good question. Okay. Now, do you think, here's my other question. Do you think that you would be able to make these equations given this information? Because you might have to do that. You might have to do that. So let's just say you weren't given these equations. An initial fee of $75 and $5 per visit. This is a rate. So that's going to be the slope. An initial fee is the initial payment, right? So that's at visits 0. Your fee is $75. You see that? That's an upfront fee. So this is a y-intercept. So you should be able to look at this and be able to create an equation with that. This one over here, plans per money per visit, the slope is 10. This one's 5. This one is 10. That's the cost per visit. That's the rate, the slope. The initial fee is 0. So your y-intercept is 0. So you should be able to make your equations given this information as well. Okay? All right. So that's that question. Any final questions?